The Young and the Restless spoilers, break up with Claire sends drunken Kyle into this woman's bed. Get updates on the latest news about The Young and the Restless, straight to your inbox. We use your personal data for interest-based advertising, as outlined in our privacy notice. What is this? The Young and the Restless spoilers reveal that Kyle Abbott is about to suffer a huge disappointment when Claire Newman, Haley Aaron, breaks up with him. Afterwards, Kyle will go on a drunken binge and end up in bed with this woman. Who will comfort Kyle when his relationship hits the rocks? Claire Newman wants time apart. During the week of September 29th to October 3rd, Claire needs to take a step back from Kyle and be able to live her life and grow up a bit. Claire has always had someone telling her what to do. Now that Claire is free of Aunt Jordan, Colleen Zenk, she wants to live her life and see what it is like to make decisions for herself. Claire cannot be tied down to Kyle and go out and see what the world holds for her. Kyle is Claire's first boyfriend and she needs to see other people to make sure that Kyle is exactly who she wants. Kyle will be devastated by Claire's decision and will turn to the bottle. Who will Kyle end up in bed with afterward? Audra Charles is rejected as well. Audra Charles, Zuleika Silver, will decide to take a chance to beg Nate Hastings, Sean Dominic, to attempt to repair their relationship. What is this? However, Nate is done and wants nothing else to do with Audra. Nate has been hurt enough and will not put up with any more of Audra's lies. Audra will likely go back and drink some more. Audra will no doubt be looking for someone to hook up with. That is Audra's way to cope with her sorrows. Unfortunately, Kyle tends to do the same. Will Kyle and Audra end up hooking up once again after another heated confrontation in that jazz lounge? Will Kyle and Audra learn that they have strong feelings for each other and get together? Will Kyle regret his hookup? Kyle may wake up and decide that he regrets what happened. However, Kyle and Audra were close once before. Could Kyle and Audra decide to stay together and see where this relationship goes? Will Kyle and Audra continue to act as though they cannot stand each other as they have for months now? Should Kyle and Audra have been together all of this time? Kyle may be afraid that Claire could find out about them hooking up. Even if he is single, Kyle knows that sleeping with Audra is not about to do him any good. Spoilers suggest that Kyle's life is about to get very messy. Will Claire sleep with someone else if she learns about Kyle and Audra? Will Kyle and Audra stay together if Claire doesn't come back to him? The Young and the Restless spoilers, break up with Claire sends drunken Kyle into this woman's bed. The Young and the Restless is once again setting Genoa City ablaze with fiery heartbreak, messy rebounds, and shocking betrayals. Spoilers tease that Kyle Abbott's world is about to spin out of control following his breakup with Claire Grace, and the fallout will have fans buzzing for weeks to come. Kyle has long been a man caught between his heart, his impulses, and the expectations of his powerful family, but this time his reckless decisions could alter his future forever. When heartbreak collides with alcohol and temptation, the result is a night that may change not only his own life but also the delicate balance of relationships around him. At the center of the storm lies Claire, a woman whose newfound sense of belonging in the Newman family has already brought plenty of complications. Her relationship with Kyle seemed like the perfect blend of healing and hope after all the chaos she endured, yet the pressures of family legacies, manipulations, and conflicting priorities have been pulling them apart. Kyle, struggling to prove himself both in business and in love, may finally reach his breaking point, and in true soap fashion, that breaking point is going to end in a shocking bedfellow twist that will send shockwaves across Genoa City. For weeks, Kyle and Claire have been at odds. While Claire has been adjusting to her role as Victoria Newman's daughter and trying to carve out her place in the powerful Newman dynasty, Kyle has been increasingly insecure about where he stands. Add in the friction between the Abbotts and the Newmans, and their romance was already on shaky ground. Trust issues and family interference only served as gasoline on the fire, pushing them toward a heartbreaking split. Spoilers suggest that Kyle, devastated and humiliated, will hit the bottle hard to numb the pain. And that's where things take a dangerous turn. Fans know that when Kyle drinks, he doesn't just lose his inhibitions, he loses his sense of judgment. One impulsive decision later, Kyle finds himself waking up in the bed of another woman, a woman whose identity will leave jaws dropping. Speculation is running wild over who this mystery woman could be. Some insiders whisper that it may be Summer Newman, Kyle's ex-wife and mother of his child. If Kyle were to fall back into Summer's arms after his heartbreak with Claire, it could reignite an old flame that never truly burned out, but it would also raise questions about whether Kyle is simply repeating the mistakes of his past. A drunken reunion could stir up unresolved feelings, ignite a bitter rivalry between Summer and Claire, and send the Newman and Abbott families into a new round of feuding. On the other hand, spoilers hint that the woman in question could be Audra Charles. Audra has a history of exploiting vulnerabilities for her own gain, and Kyle's drunken spiral could make him an easy target. If Audra manages to seduce Kyle in his weakest moment, it would not only shatter his dignity but also give her leverage in the ongoing business battles in Genoa City. Audra is known for weaponizing her affairs, and this could be the perfect way for her to claw her way into more power while simultaneously creating chaos in both the Newman and Abbott households. Another possibility is Sally Spectra. Sally has been caught in her own romantic mess between Adam and Nick, but if she and Kyle were to have a one-night stand, the consequences would be explosive. Sally is already viewed with suspicion by the Newman family, and adding a tryst with Kyle could ruin her hard-earned credibility. Plus, Sally has bonded with Summer as of late, which would make the betrayal even more painful. Imagine Claire, Summer, and Sally all caught in a tangled web with Kyle at the center. It's the kind of soap chaos that could fuel months of drama. Whoever the woman may be, the real story will be the aftermath. Claire, already fragile after trying to rebuild her life and identity, could feel deeply betrayed by Kyle's reckless behavior. His actions may confirm her fears that she cannot fully trust those closest to her, pushing her into a darker, more vengeful direction. Will she lash out? Will she seek revenge, or will she cut ties with Kyle permanently? For Kyle, the repercussions could be devastating. Not only will his reputation take a hit, but his relationships with his family, his ex-wife, and even his business allies could suffer irreparable damage. The Abbotts have always worried about Kyle's impulsiveness, and this scandal could give Jack Abbott fresh reason to lecture his son about responsibility. Meanwhile, Diane might worry about how this public humiliation affects the family legacy, and Summer will certainly have something to say if the woman in Kyle's bed is connected to her in any way. If it is indeed Summer herself, then the co-parenting dynamic with Harrison will grow even more complicated, as Claire would likely walk away heartbroken while Summer might be tempted to reconcile. And let's not forget Victor Newman. If Kyle's drunken antics hurt Claire, Victor will not take kindly to the betrayal. Kyle could suddenly find himself in the crosshairs of the mighty Victor Newman, a man who does not forgive easily when it comes to protecting his family. Kyle may think a drunken night of passion is a mistake he can bury, but in Genoa City, secrets have a way of coming to light, usually at the worst possible time. Beyond the scandal itself, this twist also opens up tantalizing possibilities for new storylines. Could Kyle's downfall push him into a redemption arc where he must rebuild his life from scratch, proving himself not only to Claire but also to his family? Could Claire's heartbreak drive her into the arms of another man, perhaps even someone who would make Kyle burn with jealousy? And if Audra or Sally are indeed involved, how will the ripple effects play out across the canvas? The Young and the Restless thrives on these moments of messy entanglements and moral missteps, and Kyle's drunken one-night stand could very well be the domino that sets off an entire chain reaction of drama. At the heart of it, this storyline is about vulnerability, choices, and consequences. Kyle has always straddled the line between his heart and his impulses, and once again, he may find himself paying the price for a night of reckless passion. For Claire, this may be the final straw that forces her to stop depending on others and instead carve out her own strength and independence. The Young and the Restless spoilers, Claire Newman wants time apart. Genoa City has never been short of heartbreak, betrayals, and emotional roller coasters, but the latest development in Claire Newman's journey promises to deliver a gut punch that no one saw coming. After months of trying to build a new life, earn trust, and explore love, Claire has finally reached her breaking point. Spoilers indicate that Claire Newman wants time apart, and this decision could change not only her own path but also shake the lives of everyone around her. Claire's story has always been one of redemption and reinvention. Once manipulated and used as a pawn in Jordan's twisted schemes, she arrived in Genoa City carrying the weight of her dark past. The revelation that she was actually Victoria Newman's long-lost daughter gave her both a lifeline and a burden. Suddenly, she was thrust into the powerful Newman orbit, expected to adjust to a new family, new dynamics, and the pressure of being tied to one of the most influential names in town. While she has shown remarkable strength, cracks are beginning to show, and her recent conflicts are pushing her toward the need for space. Her romance with Kyle Abbott was supposed to be the light at the end of the tunnel, a chance at happiness after years of pain. But what started as a sweet connection between two wounded souls quickly turned into a relationship plagued by doubt, family interference, and misunderstandings. The Newmans and the Abbotts have never been able to coexist peacefully, and Claire and Kyle found themselves caught in the middle of that feud. Kyle's insecurities about his future at Jabot, his lingering connections to Summer, and his own struggles with responsibility created tension that Claire could not ignore. Even though she wanted to believe in Kyle's love, the constant push and pull has left her emotionally exhausted. For Claire, stepping back isn't just about Kyle, it's about finding herself again. She has been pulled in every direction since discovering her true identity, and now she is realizing that she needs to pause and focus on who she is outside of relationships, family drama, and expectations. Wanting time apart is her way of reclaiming control over her own narrative. This decision is going to send shockwaves through Genoa City. Kyle, devastated by the breakup, will likely spiral in ways that fans know all too well. He may turn to reckless behavior, business battles, or even a rebound fling that could further complicate the situation. Kyle has a history of making impulsive choices when he feels rejected, and this time could be no different. If he falls into the arms of another woman, whether it be Summer, Audra, or even someone unexpected, the fallout will be monumental. Claire, meanwhile, will have to navigate her decision while dealing with the reactions of her family. Victoria may support her daughter's need for space, but she will undoubtedly have her own opinions about Kyle. Nick and Victor will also weigh in, and knowing Victor, he won't hold back in warning Kyle to stay away from Claire if he has caused her pain. The Newman patriarch does not take kindly to anyone hurting his family, and Kyle may suddenly find himself in Victor's crosshairs. But Claire's desire for space isn't just about romance. It speaks to her larger struggle of establishing independence. For so long, she has been defined by the chaos created by Jordan, then redefined by her connection to the Newman family, and then further defined by her relationship with Kyle. Now she wants to find her voice outside of those influences. This could open up a fascinating new storyline for her, whether it's pursuing her own career, exploring friendships beyond the Newman-Abbott drama, or even finding herself drawn to another romantic interest who comes from outside the usual circles of power. The possibility of Claire forging a new path excites fans because it allows her to grow into a character who isn't defined solely by her trauma or her family legacy. However, taking time apart doesn't necessarily mean the end of Kyle and Claire forever. In soap operas, distance often becomes the catalyst for growth. Perhaps Kyle will realize just how much he has taken Claire for granted and work harder to prove himself worthy of her. Maybe Claire will gain clarity on what she truly wants, allowing her to return to Kyle with a stronger sense of self. Or maybe this separation is the first step toward both of them finding happiness elsewhere. Either way, their decision to take time apart will set the stage for months of emotional storytelling. Adding another layer of intrigue is the possibility that Claire's absence from Kyle's life could make room for another woman to swoop in. Summer has always carried unresolved feelings for her ex-husband, and their co-parenting connection to Harrison ensures that she and Kyle are forever tied. If Kyle seeks comfort in Summer's arms during his heartbreak, Claire could find herself blindsided by the betrayal, leading to an intense rivalry between the two women. Audra is also a wild card in this equation. Known for preying on weaknesses, she could see Kyle's vulnerability as an opportunity to manipulate her way back into power. A fling with Kyle would give her leverage while simultaneously driving a deeper wedge between the Newmans and Abbotts. The fallout from Claire's decision won't just impact her and Kyle, it will ripple across Genoa City. Jack Abbott, protective of his son, may confront Victoria or even Claire herself, questioning her motives. Diane might worry about how Kyle's heartbreak could affect the Abbott image, while Nikki Newman could step in to comfort her granddaughter and encourage her to focus on healing. The generational divide between the Newmans and the Abbotts will only grow deeper, as each side blames the other for the mess. Yet at its core, this storyline is about empowerment. Claire Newman has spent her entire life being manipulated, misunderstood, or pressured to fit into a mold. By choosing to step back and take time apart, she is making a bold statement: she will no longer be defined by others. This is her moment to reclaim her identity, her choices, and her future. Whether she ends up back in Kyle's arms or finds love elsewhere, Claire's decision to put herself first is a milestone in her journey from victim to survivor to heroine. For viewers, this twist is both heartbreaking and inspiring. It's painful to watch Claire and Kyle's love story unravel, but it's also thrilling to see Claire take control of her own destiny. The Young and the Restless thrives on these moments of vulnerability and strength, and Claire's decision is exactly the kind of dramatic turning point that keeps fans glued to their screens. As the dust settles, the big questions remain: will Kyle spiral out of control and ruin any chance of reconciliation? Will Claire's independence lead her to new opportunities and new love? And will this separation deepen the Newman-Abbott rivalry in ways no one can predict? One thing is certain: Claire Newman wanting time apart is not just a pause in her relationship, it's the beginning of a powerful new chapter that will redefine her character and reshape Genoa City itself. The Young and the Restless spoilers: Audra Charles is rejected as well. Genoa City thrives on ambition, power plays, and heartbreak, and Audra Charles has long been at the center of that storm. She's cunning, confident, and never afraid to use her charm or her intelligence to climb the ladder. But spoilers suggest that Audra, who often sees rejection as a challenge rather than a defeat, may finally find herself facing a wall she cannot climb. The words, "Audra Charles is rejected as well," echo with intrigue, signaling that the once untouchable schemer is about to hit an emotional and professional setback that could shift the entire balance of power in town. For months, Audra has been weaving herself into every corner of Genoa City. From her business dealings with Newman Media to her tangled romantic connections, she has carefully constructed a reputation as a woman who always gets what she wants. Whether it's using seduction to gain leverage, manipulating circumstances to her advantage, or outsmarting her rivals in boardrooms, Audra has rarely been told no, but this time, she will be forced to face rejection in a way that leaves her shaken. It's not just about failing to win over a man or losing a business deal, it's about realizing that her influence may not be as absolute as she once believed. Spoilers tease that Kyle Abbott, still reeling from his breakup with Claire, will be at the center of Audra's latest scheme. In her mind, Kyle's heartbreak is an opportunity. Vulnerable and nursing his wounds, he is the perfect target for her to swoop in and gain both personal and professional advantage. Audra has always known that Kyle's need for validation and recklessness in moments of pain make him an easy mark. She's played this game before, slipping into men's lives when they're at their lowest. But this time, things don't go according to plan. Instead of falling into her arms, Kyle may reject her advances outright. His rejection will not only wound Audra's ego but also force her to question her strategy. For once, her usual weapon of seduction doesn't work, and she's left standing on the outside. But Kyle may not be the only source of rejection in Audra's world. Spoilers also hint that her position in Newman Media could come under fire. Nikki and Victor have never fully trusted her, and with Claire now carving her place in the Newman empire, Audra could find herself squeezed out. Rejection on the professional front could be even more devastating than a failed romantic conquest. If Victor decides her presence is too much of a liability, or if Nikki pushes for her removal, Audra could lose the very platform that has fueled her power plays. That kind of rejection would not just bruise her pride, it would dismantle the foundation she's been building since arriving in Genoa City. And what about Nate Hastings? Audra has long toyed with the idea of a connection with Nate, sensing his ambition and restlessness as kindred traits. But spoilers suggest Nate may also turn his back on her, rejecting her advances or her offers of partnership. For Nate, who has been burned before by manipulation and betrayal, the risk of aligning with Audra may be too high. His rejection would sting deeply, because unlike Kyle, Nate sees through her facade and understands her drive, and choosing to walk away from her might hit harder than she expects. Audra's rejection arc is more than just a personal setback, it's a thematic reckoning. For so long, she has been able to bulldoze her way into opportunities, relationships, and positions of influence. Now she is discovering that not everyone will bend to her will. The rejection forces her to face vulnerability, something she has avoided at all costs. How she responds to this rejection will determine her next chapter. Will she spiral into anger and lash out, plotting revenge against those who dared to deny her? Or will she adapt, learning that true power sometimes requires patience and genuine connection rather than manipulation? This turn in Audra's story also has ripple effects across Genoa City. If Kyle rejects her, it could signal his desire to rebuild his life with dignity, rather than making the same mistakes. That would be a major step forward for him, proving to Claire, Summer, and even his family that he can rise above his impulses. If Newman Media rejects her, it could set the stage for someone else, maybe Claire, maybe even Sally Spectra, to rise in the company while Audra plots her next move. And if Nate rejects her, it could reignite his focus on Elena or push him back into the Newman orbit in surprising ways. Fans know Audra won't take rejection lying down. She is far too ambitious and proud to simply accept defeat. Instead, her rejection may push her into darker, riskier territory. Will she turn to a new ally, perhaps someone like Adam Newman, who appreciates her ruthless streak? Will she dig up secrets to blackmail her way back into power? Or will she shock everyone by showing genuine vulnerability and seeking a fresh start? The possibilities are endless, but one thing is certain, Audra's rejection is not the end of her story, it's the beginning of her most dangerous chapter yet. The beauty of this twist lies in its ability to humanize Audra while still keeping her edge. Rejection strips away her usual mask of control, exposing the raw emotions beneath. For viewers, it's a chance to see a different side of the character, one that is flawed, hurt, and struggling to find her footing. And in the world of the young and the restless, those moments of weakness often become the fuel for the next big power play. Audra's rejection may knock her down, but it will also set the stage for a dramatic comeback that no one will see coming. As the storyline unfolds, fans should brace themselves for fireworks. Audra Charles being rejected as well means the tides are shifting in Genoa City. Power players are drawing new lines, relationships are evolving, and alliances are being tested. Whether she comes back stronger, more dangerous, or surprisingly vulnerable, one thing is certain, Audra's rejection will have consequences that ripple far beyond her own story. Genoa City may think they've shut her out, but history has shown that Audra always finds a way back in, and when she does, everyone should be prepared for the fallout.